This is Victor Gao, and he's a Chinese lawyer, right? And so businessman and academic who is the vice president of the Beijing-based Center for China and Globalization. He's a great man, and I just came across his video. He speaks very eloquently, and he's having this interview with this goofball over here, this Mehdi Hassan. He's this Indian guy who immigrated to Britain, and he's acting so hard to act like, like a white man. They do take the characteristic of the white people, the Westerners in general. You call them the whatever you want, Caucasian, whatever. They become rude, obnoxious, stupid, ignorant, and all of that. So this is a very fascinating interview. It's a 45-minute video. I'm not going to play the entire thing. I've just clipped, two short segments that I want to address in this video because it's quite important. So let's play the video.
Hear Stephen say he doesn't feel that safe going to China, prefers going to Taiwan. When we talk about freedom of speech, for example, in China, I live in the United States of America, where I can say that Donald Trump is hypothetically, an orange-faced narcissist. I also live here in the UK. I'm British. Here you have Rishi Sunak, the former Prime Minister, was called a pint-sized loser by a Labour politician. No one in China has that kind of freedom to talk about their government, to talk about President Xi Jinping in that way. You can't say anything like that. You wouldn't dare say anything like that because you know what will happen to you when you go home. You know what will happen to your family. That's what China is.
Mehdi, if you do anything, write anything, email or chat to your friends about taking anything action against, let's say, Prime Minister of Britain, President of the United States, you'll be dealt with very swiftly.
Victor, you're a master of straw men. That's not what I said. I said Rishi Sunak was called a pint-sized loser. Would you call Xi Jinping a pint-sized loser?
Well, I don't understand this argument. See, this is what I find frustrated yesterday when I watched the entire thing. It's like, why do you want to call the leader a pint-sized loser or an orange man? Why? What does it accomplish? Nothing. So why want you to do it? And he's going to say something about positive, constructive criticism, and he's going to make fun of it. Listen to...
Each country has different sensitivities. In UK...
So you're admitting you can't criticize the Chinese government?
No. You can criticize the government if you are positive in your attitude.
You can criticize...
Well, he wouldn't understand. See, this is the thing that I said in the beginning about like acting like white men. This is just stupid behavior. Why do you want to not have a constructive criticism? If you want to change the policy, why don't you address the policy and present something? You can't just jump on the fucking public sphere and start insulting people. Why? This is so Western, and it's irritating. Your leaders are not our leaders. And when I say we the civilized people. Okay, you in the West have see, the worst of our leader is better than the best of your leaders. And we love our leaders, and they're doing mistake because, well, of course, nobody is perfect. But even when they're corrupt, even when they're mismanaging resources and all that, we still support them. Because we love our leaders and they're leading us. They're working for us. But in the West, nobody's working for you. Matter of fact, they're working against the population. So, of course, you want to lash out and you want to just insult and, you never had anybody who is worthy of respect. You still have statues of Winston Churchill, the guy who inflicted famine on India. This Mehdi Hassan, is from India. His parents, he was born in the UK, but his heritage. You guess what I'm saying? The British have stole 45 trillion. Did you hear what I just said? $45 trillion estimated worth of resources from his country. And he's sitting over there thinking that somehow the freaking island is somehow worthy of respect. The West is a cancer. I said it many times and I will say it again. Once you get close to it, you become infected. It doesn't allow you to think straight. How you as an Indian supporting the British is just something that I will never understand. And you want to compare it to China? The audacity of you people.
The government, if you're positive.
Yes.
Is that the new philosophy?
No, if you can come up with your
You've got to come up with nice insults.
No.
What then?
Why you don't need insults, you goofball. You don't need to insult nobody if they're working for the public. They're pushing policies, they're making trade agreements. You don't need to insult nobody. And if you want to criticize, come up with something good that we can do to improve the situation for the leader, for everybody. Not this bullshit about calling you a loser, calling the president. It doesn't accomplish anything, even if that's true. There was like this woman in the public. She said, can you call Xi Jinping, the president of China, Winnie the Pooh? You know Winnie the Pooh, the anime, I'm not familiar with it, but they say there's some resemblance of Winnie the Pooh with Xi Jinping. And they thought, these people are immature. You people have never evolved.
Constructive advice.
For example,
oh, I'm loving
in
this.
dealing with the aging population, what should be the government do? What should this governor should do?
Exactly.
But you can't say the president's lied. He's a liar.
He will be dealt with.
Well, he's not lying. That's the difference. This is what they don't understand. The Xi Jinping is not lying. He's doing whatever he's doing, and I will support anybody who's anti-West. That's my position, regardless of what they're doing.
Very swiftly in China. You cannot say that.
That is the most honest thing you've said tonight. Victor,
Yes, it's honest because you cannot defame. That's illegal even in the United Kingdom, even in the West, in everywhere you go. It's illegal. You cannot make false claim about people, and the only reason it's not pursued in justice, legal system, people they just don't care, and sometimes it costs a lot of money to sue somebody and pursue legal action and all that. But it's illegal. You cannot make false statements about somebody.
President for life, a true dictator.
For the record, first of all, Chinese President Xi Jinping will never be president for life. There will be a time limit when it will be handled according to the Chinese legal system and constitution. Secondly, there is no dictator in China. Why? Because dictatorship simply doesn't work. Democracy means modernization. And how can you explain profound transformation of China over the past 45 years in China if you have dictatorship or authoritarian rule? No. Every leader in China will be put into a team, and teamwork will be much more important than individualism.
Victor. Maybe presidents did. Maybe Jiang Zemin or Hu Jintao. Everyone knows Xi Jinping has centralized power, consolidated power, got rid of term limits. You say there's a...
It doesn't matter, centralized power. See, they use this dictatorship and all that because it has this negative connotation. I don't care. Me personally, and I believe a lot of people do not have any problem with dictatorship, because being a dictator doesn't mean you are that you are against the population. You can be a dictator and work for the people, pursue policies that are going to benefit everybody. I don't have a problem living under a dictatorship as long as this dictator. Now, there's a problem when somebody gets like centralized power and all that, and you can't remove them from power. They can start to act crazy. But it happened in the past. But in the example of China, in this specific situation, because that's a very complicated topic. But in China, the leaders is working for the people. They're improving the situation. They're improving the situation in their country and everywhere else. They're building infrastructure in Africa. They're making deals with the Middle East countries. They're helping South America, right? Making trade agreements, all type of different stuff. They don't bomb anybody. Right? You look at their foreign policy, it's the best foreign policy. And you sit over here talking about like, oh no, this is centralized power. Democracy, it just doesn't fucking work.
To get rid of him,
I don't know why you talk about it.
He's in power for life and he likes being a dictator. Why are we pretending?
Mehdi, allow me to remind you, the Communist Party of China, which is the ruling party of China, has a membership of up to 100 million people.
Yeah. It's not a dictatorship.
Every province, every state-owned enterprise, etc., will have a party cell.
It's the funny thing, China is more democratic than the United Kingdom. Prove me wrong.
There's no division or debate within the Chinese Communist Party.
Listen to me. No single person in China can dictate to a population of 1.4 billion people and 100 million membership of the Communist Party of China.
Okay, let's test that.
That's a mission impossible.
Let's test that proposition. The president won a vote last year. Won a vote. I'll put that in air quotes. Do you know the tally of last year's presidential vote in favor of Xi Jinping by the National People's Congress, part of that structure you just advertised to us? What was the vote? Can you tell our audience here?
I think it's up to about 100%. That doesn't...
2,952 to 0.
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Could you not find a few people just to make it look a
Why does it matter? Why does it matter if the leader is a good leader? Why does it matter whether there's like 6, 7 people to choose from? Why? I don't understand why this so-called, fake democracy that you want to impose on everybody, and you don't even have it. That's the weirdest thing about like this entire situation. You don't have democracy and you want to impose it on people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just absurd.
1 or 2?
Mehdi, it's not surprising. It's not surprising.
2,952 to 0.
It's
That's one man rule.
Why? The Chinese system, everyone supports the Chinese president.
You just told us 10 seconds ago there's this huge system, a big party, one guy, and then you're like, oh no, but
we don't need multiple people. Why do you need multiple people? One is enough. If that one person is good and decent and logical and is gonna work for the people, that's enough. Criticizing the government, motherfucker, that's not a priority. If me, I don't live in China, but if I immigrate to China with my family or whatever, and I go there, right? Criticizing the government will be at the bottom of my priorities. Why would I go to China, right? And the first thing that will cross my mind is, can I say something bad about the leader? Why? I care about housing, healthcare. Is it safe? Can I make money? Is there livable wage? What about the culture? Do I like the food? Do I like the weather? Those things are more important to everybody. But like somehow these Indian guy, want to go to China and the first thing he want to do is criticize. Nah, man, this is immature, like I said.
0 votes against him. One person out of 3,000 couldn't say, Xi Jinping, not my guy. One.
What if he's the guy for all the Communist Party of China?
Yes.
You never know.
Everybody, they cannot comprehend that fucking point. Maybe everybody is in line with what they're doing. And you want to say, oh no, they're fearing him. They're afraid they're going to be detained. And yes, anybody will oppose the good for the people. If we all have a plan, and there's like some guys over here trying to disrupt the entire system, and we all have a plan, we all agree on a plan, and we're trying to move forward and improve the situation for everybody. If you have some provocateurs, they should be detained. They should disappear. And that's my opinion, and that's what they're doing in China. I love their system. I completely hate that fake democracy that you're trying to impose on everybody. How's democracy worked for Iraq and Afghanistan and all these places in Egypt and Laos and Cambodia and all that?
If that's the case, then your entire first answer is redundant, because it doesn't matter if there's 100 million people. No. They all have to follow the leader.
No, he does command huge respect among the Chinese people, as well as...
You say respect, I say...
But they don't respect anybody. See, these motherfuckers, they don't respect nobody. They just want to insult because they're immature. They never evolved. And the people, this is a 3,000-year civilization. They have a track record. They have a history, and they're doing whatever they're doing. And I will support them because it works.
Yeah. Do you know how many names were on the ballot papers that were given in 2013?
It doesn't matter.
How many names were on the ballot paper when they went to choose the president? Can you tell our audience?
I think there is only one candidate.
Yeah.
That's fine.
No other names. That's a real secure leader. A guy who knows he has the confidence of his people.
That's
you get to vote, but only for me, and none of you can actually vote against me.
Mehdi, we do not want to end up in a situation with 6 prime ministers in 8 years.
Yeah. So you prefer a dictatorship?
No, we prefer a system that works for the benefit of the Chinese people.
That's exactly what I was trying to explain for the last 15 minutes. I'm even tired of repeating this point. It fucking works, and your democracy doesn't work. You know what's the biggest problem I have with democracy? Is that if you have an election every 4 years, you end up with people who have certain policies they try to pursue, and then the next election, if you got the opposition, they will go against what has been. This is like, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to finish this video. This is like, in the browser, when you have this history, well, imagine you browse, websites and all that, and every day you delete their browser history. Imagine 2 weeks from now, you want to look at something that you visited, a website that you visited, last week or last Wednesday. Well, you can't fucking do it. Why? Because you just erased the history. So you have no, you can't find what you have visited. You can't find those websites. It works on a micro level with countries. When you have one guy and one political party, they remember all the massacre and humiliation that you have inflicted on them.
I said a word about what works or not. You got great economic growth. But you're a dictatorship.
There is no dictatorship, Mehdi.
You just admitted that there's no name on the ballot paper, no votes against him, and they all just follow him. That's a dictatorship.
Mehdi, when you have
a succession say my name multiple times, but it's a dictatorship.
How many candidates are there on the ballot paper?
How many? What? King and queen?
When the king succeeds the queen,
yes.
How many candidates are there on the ballot paper?
How many?
Does that make Britain not a democracy?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm a Republican, so I think we should be a full democracy and get rid of the monarchy. And I can say that here. You can't say that in China.
You cannot take any action against that.
Yes, I can, actually. I can go out on the street.
You can't take any action. Stop your bullshit. You're talking to a lawyer, and anybody with some common sense and half a brain knows that you can't say anything about or take any action against the monarchy in the United Kingdom. But, like I said, they just take the characteristic of the Westerner, which is just ignorant and stupid and rude and try to interrupt the guy. Let just him finish the sentence. Anyway, see you next time.